Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am going to get my PowerPoint up here. My name is Shannon McGee. I am the Director of Sales for Paul Gauguin Cruises here in the Northeast and the Midwest. I'm located in Northeastern Pennsylvania, and I have Heidi on the line with me. Heidi, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am. So welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We're super excited to tell you all about, you know, going around. I think that this was like the perfect plan for me, because we've been wanting to do the overwater bungalows, and my husband really wanted to do that. But then to just go all the way out there and just to spend a week, we were thinking, this would be so much better. So we spent 2 nights in an overwater bungalow, which was fabulous, and I can give you all the details about that because it's right, you can do it right close to where the cruise starts. And then once we were on the cruise, we got to sail around to all different islands. Each day we had new adventure and whatnot. And then we came back to Tahiti and we could fly home. So it was perfect for me because we got to see a lot in a short amount of time, and everywhere was so spectacular. Even just sailing around the islands was so incredibly, I mean, I can't even describe the blue of the water. You always think it's photoshopped in in pictures when you see them in magazines and whatnot, and then you get there and you're like, wow, this really is that amazing. So I'm going to pass it over to Shannon to go ahead and get started. Feel free. There is, let me see where it is. There should be like a place to put chats.
Yes, there's a question box. Yeah, you should be able to pop a question in the question box and we can answer them at the end. Everyone is muted, just so we don't hear any background noise and bother anyone else. So, yep, there's definitely a question box. We actually
Go
had
ahead and, yeah, go ahead
Brian
and any
is waving
questions
hello
at
to us. So,
the time.
all right, great. So, I have to agree with you, Heidi. I think what you did is the perfect combination of seeing French Polynesia, because, many people think or they dream of staying in an overwater bungalow. So I do think it's great to pair the two together. So that must have been a fantastic trip. So what I'm going to do is kick it off with a video, and then we'll come back and we'll get right into it.
French Polynesia waits for you with open arms. This isn't just a place, it's an atmosphere. She possesses her very own consciousness. Love and light flood every corner of her incredible world. And those who visit are forever changed by it. Go barefoot, soak in her sun, be rejuvenated by her sand and the smiling faces of her people. Just breathe. Life here can be very big, or it can be very small. And new friends await in the most impossibly interesting ways. Places you never knew existed. Now, you'll never forget. When you long to bask in one of the most unspoiled places on Earth, she's waiting for you. Her door and her heart are always open. Paul Gauguin Cruises. Let us help you make French Polynesia part of your story.
Okay, so that is a beautiful video, and it definitely sets the tone here. So first, I'd like to talk about where French Polynesia or Tahiti is located. I know many times people think it's so far away or really inaccessible. And while the destination is certainly remote, which is one of the things that makes it so amazing, it's not inaccessible. So it is only 8 hours from the West Coast. So most flights will, go through LA. There are some other options, but 8 hours from Los Angeles. It's just 2 more hours than it takes you to get to Hawaii from LA. So we like to say that it's an additional movie and 2 drinks beyond Hawaii. It is as far south of the equator as Hawaii is north of the equator. So it's in the same time zone. So it's as far west. And they do get the same weather pattern as Hawaii, so it's a year-round destination. But one thing that is amazing about Tahiti or French Polynesia, and by the way, you can use them interchangeably. Everyone will know what you're talking about, but the whole area is called French Polynesia. Tahiti is the main island, or you can call it the islands of Tahiti. But anyway, French Polynesia gets as many visitors in 1 year that Hawaii receives in 1 week. So that should kind of frame it in your mind as to what the experience is like, especially if you've been to Hawaii, and many people have. A lot more people have been to Hawaii, of course, than have been to French Polynesia. Also, the land mass. So the area that French Polynesia covers is as big as Europe, but the land mass is only as big as Rhode Island. So all of these small islands spread over the land mass of Europe. So that's what you're dealing with. You're also, if you've been to Hawaii, the first time that I went to Hawaii, I loved it. I thought it was an amazing experience, but I think I was thinking it would be Tahiti, because when I arrived into Tahiti the first time, I thought, wow, this is what I thought Hawaii was going to be like. So it's just really authentic, and it's very Polynesian, obviously. So it just has a little bit of a different feeling there. So that's a bit about the location and the islands themselves. Paul Gauguin Cruises, visits 3 of the 5 French Polynesian archipelagos. And we're actually going to focus on the trips that Heidi has block space on, or contracted rates on: the Marquesas, the Tuamotus, and the Society Islands. So the Society Islands, of course, are what everyone thinks of when they think of French Polynesia: Tahiti, Moorea, Bora Bora, and then the Tuamotus are right there, and the Marquesas. So this is kind of the footprint where Paul Gauguin Cruises, travels. So why cruise with Paul Gauguin, or why come to this destination at all? Why have a small cruise ship experience? This ship was built for this destination, and it's the only thing that we've ever done. It's the only thing we do is cruise around French Polynesia in the South Pacific. One thing that's very important to know is that the draft of the ship is very shallow, just 19 feet from the water line to the bottom of the ship. And what that means for you is we can travel into all of these remote places, all of these very shallow lagoons, and get in close to all of these amazing destinations. Also, the ship has a ton of outdoor space. And when you're in French Polynesia, where do you want to be? Outside. So there's dining outside, and there's just a ton of outdoor space on our ship. It is a fixture in the destination. I mean, everyone knows the Gauguin around French Polynesia. It also is more of an extension of the destination rather than just traveling on a cruise ship in some destination. The colors, the decor on the ship, the people, even if they're not from French Polynesia, they embody that same lovely, warm spirit that the French Polynesian people embody. We did just have a dry dock last year, in the beginning of last year. Oh geez, we're almost at the end of this year already, but in the beginning of 2021, we had a dry dock where we changed, from top to bottom soft goods, pulling in all those beautiful blues and greens of the area. We also removed the use of heavy fuel oils. So there was a renovation done to the ship just last year. We are only 330 guests. So it's 165 staterooms. It's, of course, luxurious accommodations, all ocean view. You'll not find any inside staterooms on our ship. 70% of those staterooms are balconies, so have private balconies. We do have suite categories, 4 different suite categories that give butler service and different amenities. We have among the highest staff to guest ratio at sea. We have about 1 staff to every 1.5 guests on board. We also have full-size bathtubs in our bathrooms. We've received many accolades and awards for, service and food and pretty much anything. But we did just get one of the really great awards from Travel and Leisure magazine, Best Small Ship Ocean Cruise Line in July of this year. So you can find all of those accolades on our website if you're looking for those. We also have 7 Tahitian hosts, we call them the Gauguins and the Gauguins, on board the ship with us at all times. And I'm going to flip to this, Heidi. So I'm thinking these aren't just entertainers. I'm thinking these are Gauguins and Gauguins that you're here pictured with. Is that right?
Yeah. And it was so fun because on board, they would put on shows at night, but they would also be, welcome you off the ship or welcoming you back on the ship, playing, the ukulele everywhere. They even did little crafts throughout the day, making like shell bracelets or teaching you how to make, like out of palm leaves, different things like that, so it was so fun. And they were so, they would just sit next to you and, just start chatting with you and, giving dance lessons and all kinds of fun activities. So it really made the experience, but you were just really embraced in the whole French Polynesian, because they were from there. I mean, I remember I was sitting next to one making a bracelet and she's pointing out her house, as we're sailing by, the island and whatnot, so it was really, it was just a fun experience, to hear about their culture. And, some of them were from very remote islands, where there's only, very, very few people and no other kids and, and that sort of thing. So it was interesting to talk to them about, what life was like growing up and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was fun.
There's like I said, 7 on board. They are from all over French Polynesia. And that is part of the element of bringing the destination into the experiences, having those hosts on board. And you're exactly right. They do all kinds of things. They're like jacks of all trades. They're playing music and entertaining. And then, maybe someone asks them for a good hiking trail in Moorea. And they, so they're really great that way. And they're open and, very warm and friendly. So yeah, those are the Polynesian hosts that are on board with us on every sailing. I mentioned the exceptional service, and while not every staff member is from French Polynesia, on board they all have that same spirit. And I don't know, Heidi, you might have this experience, but I was speaking to one of my other travel advisors that I work with, and she had been on a few months ago and said that I swear that they have a picture of every guest in the crew quarters with their names and drink order underneath it, because every time I got back on the ship, they had a glass of champagne and they had a Stella for my husband, and they've got the espresso martini made by the bartender that I liked for after dinner. So these are the kind of things that the staff does. They go way above and beyond. It's a 5-star service for sure, but it isn't formal or fussy. It's more laid back and it's easy and casual, but it's just very friendly, warm service. So that's definitely.
I had the same exact experience. They would bring us everything, and I like lemon in my water, so that was always sitting, wherever I was about to sit down, and they all knew our names, and they even knew like who we were friends with, because they'd be like, oh, your friends are sitting over there, would you like to join them? And you're like, wow, like I wouldn't know that of someone that I had just met. So it was very yeah, it was an amazing. All the crew were so friendly and so great.
They're wonderful. So but it's not also country club casual for dressing in the evening. Men do need to wear pants in the dining room, but there's never any ties or jackets or anything like that. It is not a formal, fussy luxury. It's definitely luxury, but it's not formal and fussy. During the day, of course, it's what you're bathing suit with the cover up and flip-flops, but at night the only requirement is men need to wear pants in the dining room. Longer port stays, because we are you know, getting into those smaller lagoons, we don't have long tender times. We can actually stay in the destination longer. In fact, we're looking at 2 different itineraries where we have an overnight in Bora Bora. We also have an overnight in one of the Marquesas Islands. So there are some 2 full day experiences, definitely Bora Bora, and then in Marquesas as well. Expensive deck space. We already talked about this, a huge amount of deck space outside. You're never going to have to fight for a chair at the pool if you want to sit down there and read a book. So it's very open ship. Exclusive retreats. This is one of my favorite things about our itineraries is the Motu Mahana. We stop here in every sailing that we do. It's Taha, which is one of the Society Islands in French Polynesia. It's the vanilla island. And we have a private motu, and you can see it pictured here. It's a private island just for us. There's a barbecue that they have on the island. As Heidi mentioned, the Gauguins and the Gauguins are playing music while you're getting off, and they're on the island doing activities all day. And you see this gentleman on the left there with a bar, and he floats around out there, and you can kayak by and get a drink, and you can swim by and get a drink, and then you can do drift snorkeling on the other side if you want to. So it's just, this was one of my favorite days on any vacation that I've ever had in my life. It was just the best day ever, and I can't wait to repeat it. What do you think about it? I know, I'm sure you have this thing.
And yeah, they would have lounge chairs, and they were bringing you drinks to your lounge chair. They were carving out coconuts for you. And the other thing, like one thing that really appealed to me about Paul Gauguin was that they include kayaks and paddleboards, and they do them off the back of the ship, which we did as well. But then on this day, they drag them all over to this island, and you can just go around, and there's all this coral. I mean, you can see, like, if you look in the bottom left of the screen, I mean, you don't even have to snorkel. I mean, the snorkeling is amazing, but you could stand in your, you know, up to your knees and just look down in the water and see all the amazing fish. So, like, we would just kayak or stand up paddleboard around there and could see so many. I mean, it was just spectacular. So, yeah, I mean, really fun day, super easy. And yeah, they just kind of kept pampering you, and you never wanted to leave. So it was great.
The best day ever. And then we also have a private retreat in Bora Bora. So in Bora Bora, where we do an overnight, you can actually maybe do the private retreat one day and then do an excursion another day. But it's different than the Motu Mahana. It doesn't have the barbecue. It doesn't have the bartender out in the ocean. It has a cooler with drinks, the little chair set up. It does have the paddleboard and the kayaks. It's just a very kind of barefoot palm tree island. So you can do that. It's another one of our private retreats. So what is included in the cruise fare? All meals, of course, even the alternate dining options that we're going to talk about, and complimentary room service, drinks, including alcohol, wine on board, mini bar that's replenished daily with soft drinks, water and beer. Gratuities are included. Then we have extra amenities in the suite categories, including a butler, and then of course flowers and fruit in your stateroom. What's not included, shore excursions, spa services, and boutique on board. So there's Heidi there and her husband. That's Bora Bora in the background.
I know. So that is real. From my cell phone, just, you know,
incredible.
Just someone taking a picture of us. That's crazy. It really was like that.
It is incredible. The water is amazing. So the 3 dining options that we have, L'Etoile is our main dining restaurant. It's open for dinner. It's an open seating venue, and it has a changing menu every evening. Plus, on the changing menu, there's daily standards that you can order from, Caesar salad, things like that. But this menu can be delivered to your stateroom course by course as well. So if you find that there's an evening where you don't want to go out, you can have this delivered to your stateroom and enjoy it on your balcony. We have La Veranda, which this is a venue that does require reservations, and not because we don't want everyone to eat there, but just because it's a smaller venue for dinner, and so you need to make a reservation. But it is open for breakfast, lunch, and they have tea there when you're getting back on the ship from excursions, and there's an indoor-outdoor kind of space there. And this is the French inspired tasting menu in La Veranda. And then probably my favorite restaurant on board is Le Grill, and this is a Polynesian Asian fusion cuisine for dinner, and it has this beautiful outdoor space, and you can dine under the stars while in Bora Bora, which is amazing. It does require reservations for this venue, again, because it's smaller, but it's open for breakfast and lunch as well. And the food on board is really great, and you know, any dietary needs that someone might have can be accommodated. You know, it isn't one of those things where if you have a dietary need and then the chef comes out and says, okay, order this or this, they may just make you something special that's not on the menu. So it is really good cuisine. I don't know if Heidi, if you have anything that you wanted to add about the food on board.
Yeah, no, basically, yeah, I think you covered it. It was great. They had like some that were like standards that you always knew that they were gonna have, you know, like you know, like a steak and things like that. So that you, and then the other side of the menu would change every night. So there's always something new to try. Then you could also have room service. I mean, there were so many options. And the tea that she's talking about wasn't just tea. I mean, they had like whole huge table full of desserts and bananas Foster, and they got, you know, making all the fancy desserts and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's great. Lots of fresh fruit too, which was really, really good, and fresh seafood, which
yes. So I was just going to say that we work with local fishermen, and you'll see that in some of you know, the cultural preservation that we do. But we will work with local fishermen that will do catch of the day, and so the chef will make whatever the fisherman caught. And you're right, I probably did downplay the tea a little bit, but I used to, every day when I get back on the ship, I go right to the tea area and get a little snack. So we have a showroom. We have a couple different entertainment venues on board, but we do have a showroom. In our showroom, you'll find you know, things like Polynesian dance shows, the crew talent show one evening. So it's, you know, definitely entertainment every night there. You know, you're not going to find, it's a smaller ship, 330 guests. It's not a big Broadway style shows, but it's very authentic and Polynesian, of course. This is by far one of my favorite places on board the ship, La Palette. It's a versatile space. It's not just a bar, but it's an indoor-outdoor space. This is where I think, yes, this is my picture. I love this picture. I just found it today. It was in my phone. I didn't know I had it. But this is a picture of the sunrise on the Gauguin when I was there on my vacation a few years back. And you know, you can go up to La Palette in the morning, get your coffee and a pastry, and head out and see this amazing view. Of course, you can do it from your balcony, but I feel like you get this panoramic view if you're up on the deck. And then in the evening, they do entertainment. They might do karaoke. They might have you know, a band playing where people can dance outside. So that is one of my favorite locations on the ship. We covered a bit of entertainment, but this is one of Heidi's photos. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about this one, Heidi.
Yeah, and then just one other thing real quick was the last night of the cruise, we were back in Papeete, and they brought in this professional group, you know, like dance group, and they were outstanding. I mean, that I would put up there with any performance I've ever seen. Like, and it was spectacular. And so they were able to do that because we, you know, I guess we get in the night before we're getting off. So that very last night, they bring this group in, and that was spectacular too. So yeah, a nice variety of shows and different things and whatnot going on. And live entertainment too. Before dinner, they would have like someone playing piano in a piano bar, and you could just, you know, listen to music, or they'd have trivia. A lot of the things that they have on other cruises as well.
Yeah, so we have the piano bar, which is pictured in the middle here, and then these are some of the other outdoor, lounge spaces that we have, and you'll see the beautiful blues and greens of the area that we brought in. So yeah, entertainment is great and very authentic. And you're right, you arrive early to Papeete before you leave the next, you know, you have to get off in the next morning. So we have guest host. I don't know if you had guest host, or if you knew what your guest host was on the cruise you were on, Heidi. Did you have a guest host?
No, I don't believe we had one.
They're on certain sailings where we have, you know, someone might come on that's a marine biologist or a historian or things like that, and they'll give lectures. So those are on some sailings. And there's more pictures of the beautiful ship and the beautiful couple here and the water and the scenery. It's amazing, right? It's funny how those
Yeah.
two blues are so different.
Yes, yes. I could stare at that water all day.
It's amazing. And Heidi mentioned this already, but we do have a water sports marina that comes off the back of the ship. Paddle boards, kayaks, and snorkel gear are complimentary, so you can take those off, off the back of the ship there. And the snorkel gear, if you want to take it to the beach, you can certainly do that as well. And then Heidi mentioned that we take the water sports equipment to the private island, and you can use it from there. There's Heidi on this jet ski. How fast did you go, Heidi?
Oh, we got all the way around Bora Bora, so it was fun.
That sounds wonderful.
We actually then signed up to do it again because we did it one day and then we got back on board and we were like, do you have any more jet skiing? That was so much fun. So
That's awesome.
we went again in a second island, but yeah, it was great. And then, I mean, the thing in Bora Bora was like that island's always there, the private island. And so it's nice because people are coming and going. So they're doing other things in Bora Bora and then they're kind of, so there was never anybody at the beach because you would just go over for a couple hours, but then maybe somebody else would be going over later and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I think there was like 4 people there when we were there, including us, when we were there. And so, I mean, you felt like you had this whole private island to yourself. Now, the one day when it was like the beach party and the barbecue and things like that pretty much the whole ship was there for that. And when they say barbecue, it wasn't just hamburgers and hot dogs. They had, all kinds of stuff to feed us. But the private beach in Bora Bora was spectacular just because we were there just by ourselves and we could just look out and see no people, no ship, because you basically like took a tender over to it, and it was really nice. I found that so relaxing. And they set up still chairs and everything there for you, which was good.
I like that idea because for a little bit you can relax and then go do something and then go back if you want to. So that is a great way to do that little private island. If I have any scuba divers on the line, this is a fantastic way to see French Polynesia by scuba diving. My husband's a diver, I am not. He dove a few times a day in most cases in most islands, but if you're on the ship, a 7-night sailing with 6 different destinations, you can dive in 6 different places, without having to worry about flying on the same day and things like that. So we have our own dive program on board with dive masters. The dive boat leaves directly from the back of the ship, so you don't have to go see another dive master or get on another boat to be in the water diving. Pool deck, beautiful pictures of the pool deck, and again, the renovations. We have a full service spa on board in the small fitness center. We also do massages over the water in our private island. Here's a photo of a suite. Our cabins range from about 200 square feet up to like 580 square feet. This, of course, comes with butler service. What you'll find, we have a veranda suite. What you'll find most on board the Gauguin are the balcony staterooms, categories C and D. These are 239 square feet with the balcony included, and again, the mini bars refresh daily. We do have window and porthole staterooms as well on the ship, and they're about 200 square feet, I believe. So we are, very serious about protecting the environment and the culture in French Polynesia. Again, we're a fixture in the destination, and we have been there for almost 25 years now. So we do really make sure that we maintain the relationships with the locals, and we have, local guides on our excursions. And I mentioned that we do the fishermen getting the catch of the day. So it's very important to us. So let's talk about these itineraries that we have on hold. Heidi has 3 different groups blocked out for us. We have 2 on the Moorea Society Islands and Tahiti, February 17th and February 20th. Those are 7-night sailings. They begin and end in Papeete, which most of our sailings do. This does go to Huahine, Taha, Bora Bora, and Moorea. And I spelled Moorea wrong, I just noticed that. And there's some photos here you can see, but Papeete, of course, is the main island, or excuse me, the main city on the main island. Tahiti is the main island of French Polynesia. It is the largest island. About 77% of all French Polynesian people live in Tahiti and most in Papeete. So it is the most, you know, sort of, I don't even want to say cosmopolitan. It's not. It's the most populous. It's the, you know, where the commerce and government and all of that happens. But there's a market there in Papeete, and the ship does dock in Papeete. It's not a tender there. Huahine is our next destination. So in this itinerary, you go from Papeete to Huahine, and you can see it looks a little bit like a woman. That's what the name Huahine means. It's a beautiful sleepy island. We walked to a little restaurant on the beach and hung out at the beach and did not much else, but it's definitely a beautiful little secluded spot. Raiatea, so this is a redo for us basically. We haven't hit Raiatea in a few years, and we're going back in 2024. So Raiatea has a UNESCO heritage site on the island. It also is known for this tiare flower, which you see to the top left. Tiare flower is the flower of French Polynesia, but there's one in Raiatea that cannot be found anywhere else. So it's that one right there. Motu Mahana, we talked a lot about this, and it's funny that we have almost the same picture. My husband drinking his coconut drink and Heidi drinking her coconut drink as well. So when you get off, they're making these coconut drinks for you, and you can see our bartender out there in the water. Excuse me. And then of course we go on to Bora Bora, where we spend an overnight in Bora Bora, and that's an aerial view where you can see the main island in the middle with a mountain, and then the atolls around the side. Bora Bora, you can rent a bike for about $15 and drive around the island on the bike. You can jet ski like Heidi did around the island. Bloody Mary's is a very famous venue on the island. It's a sand bottom restaurant. You can have drinks or lunch there. So, it's iconic for sure. Moorea is probably one of my favorite, and I think that's where Heidi did her overwater bungalow experience is in Moorea. I love Moorea. We did a catamaran, and just to reiterate, the excursions that we do, like the catamaran that we did on Moorea, is probably 10 of us. They're not huge amounts of people on these excursions. They're very intimate and small. We also did the e-bikes up to the top of Belvedere, and the picture next to us where we're in the catamaran is actually of an overlook at Belvedere, which is a mountain that you can hike up or bike up, and there's a pineapple plantation and a jam factory, so it's a really cool experience. And by the way, you don't have to do a scheduled excursion to experience these islands either. You can certainly get off the ship and find something to do, or hike, or get to a beach without too much trouble. And then the other itinerary that we are going to talk about is the 14-night sailing of the Marquesas and the Tuamotus. And this is new for 24 as well. But we always go to the Marquesas and the Tuamotus, but we never did this much to Tuamotus and Marquesas together. It's Tahiti, goes over to, we always have to stop in Motu Mahana, of course. Bora Bora, it goes to I'm doing it backwards. It goes Tahiti to Whakarava, to Fatu Hiva, Hiva Oa, Tahutia, Nuku Hiva, these are a little bit new to me, Uapoi, and then it goes to Rangiroa, Bora Bora, and Taha. So the Tuamotus are very much about the water. So these are some photos of the Marquesas, but the Tuamotus and Whakarava, very much about the water. They're basically completely enclosed lagoons, coral lagoons. So in the middle is pretty much any sea life that you can ever imagine seeing. So it's all about the water. You're gonna, snorkel or scuba, everywhere on those two Tuamotu islands. Now the Marquesas are so much different than the rest of the French Polynesian island. If you think about islands in terms of gender, you might think about the Tuamotus and the Society Islands as a bit more feminine, and the Marquesas as a bit more masculine. You can see from these photos here of Fatu Hiva that they're huge cliffs jutting all the way down in the sea. So they're just all about the inland in these destinations. Tattoo was created in the Marquesas. it's a lot about the culture. They are let me make sure I'm saying this correctly, farther from any landmass than any other island on Earth. So they're very remote. Some of these islands, only 500 and 600 people live in them. So it's just a really unique destination that's kind of rugged and wild for sure. You get the tikis, of course, and Hiva-oa, and our namesake, Paul Gauguin, is buried on this island as well. And then again, these beautiful tikis and black sand beaches. You'll find this the huge, and that you'll find this in a lot of videos for French Polynesia or Tahiti, is this banyan tree, and this is actually on this island here, and you can see that lovely black sand beach. Rangiroa, this is a perfect example of what I was telling you about, how it's a completely enclosed lagoon. So any kind of sea life that you can possibly imagine will be inside there. And it is a UNESCO heritage site, Fakarava is actually. We love special occasions on the Gauguin. We do a very nice Polynesian blessing ceremony for anyone celebrating a honeymoon or an anniversary. It's performed by either the captain or the cruise director, and they take beautiful photos. And we also have some other packages where you can do vow renewals or things like that that are paid options. If you talk to Heidi about making this reservation by the end of the year, she will be able to offer you a $500 per stateroom shipboard credit. So that is good to the end of the year, and Heidi can go ahead and get that applied for you if you make a reservation on one of these sailings. I think that the best gift that you can give anybody for a holiday is a trip to Tahiti or French Polynesia on the Gauguin. So think about that. It's right around the corner. We're already in December 1st. Some of the things that I think you might want to take home from French Polynesia, of course, Tahitian pearls. They're not called black pearls anymore because, as you can see, there's many variations in color. So they're now just called Tahitian pearls. And I don't have a picture of vanilla on here, but vanilla, of course, the Tahitian vanilla is very unique, has a kind of a different profile than a Mexican vanilla or vanilla from somewhere else. It is more expensive simply because it is hand pollinated. The orchid is hand pollinated. So it's a really, there's different places where you can go in Motu Mahana, you can do the Taha vanilla experience. So it's very, if you're a chef or a baker, you might definitely want to do that. You can get wood carvings, pareos, and then of course the manoi oil, which is just the lovely oil that you can use on your skin. And if you want to have a more permanent remembrance of your trip to French Polynesia, you can get a tattoo. And I have Heidi's information here. Heidi, did you have anything more you would like to add? I just want to say maruru, which is thank you in French Polynesian language.
No, I think I was going through my notes that I wanted to make sure I covered, and I think we covered everything that I was going to say. I mean, it really just exceeded my expectations, and I think the 14-day one, I wasn't ready to go home after a 7. So I think being able to go in a little further, explore a little bit more, really is exciting to me. So,
well, you know what I thought when you block those 2 different dates, if somebody has the time, that you could do your Moore Society Islands and Tahiti back to back with that Marquesas sail. I'm not sure if you did it that on purpose, but I think that
definitely. Yep.
I think that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I could just stay there forever. I keep especially now that it's getting colder, I'm like, oh, I wish I was back. But I'll get back. It's just so spectacular and just such a just happy. Everything was just so easy. I mean, like she said, I think if you've never sailed on a small ship before, that is an experience in its own, just because there is no waiting for anything. You're not waiting for dinner. You're not waiting for a beach chair. There's no one going up at 7 o'clock in the morning and putting their book on a lounge chair and then, hogging it all day. It was just really, I don't know. And you were running into the same people over and over. So you got to know not only the crew, but the other guests. And it was just a very, just, yeah, like just happy atmosphere, which is really nice to be a part of. And it was just very relaxing, which was great.
It is. It's a wonderful destination. But I'm going to look and see at the questions here. Let me just see if I can. We have a few questions in the question box. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get it open up a little bigger for me.
And if you think of your questions later, feel free to just, everyone should have my email. Just email me. You know, we can get on. And if you were interested in either of the other places that we kind of skimmed over, we kind of wanted to keep this a little short and not go into Fiji and, oh, I'm blacking out. But if you wanted to go to one of those other, what's
Cook
the other
Islands.
one?
Yeah, Cook is the other place where we go. Fiji, Bali, Cook. Yep.
That, I can give you information about those as well. We just don't want to kind of overwhelm it.
So yeah, so I have a question here about how many people bring their 3-year-olds. Well, that is a fantastic question because I have a 4-year-old and I'm going over Christmas this year. So we're leaving on the 15th of December in 2 weeks. Don't hate me. I know it's going to be hard, but somebody has to do it, right? But I'm bringing my 4-year-old. So, you know, we do have a children's program in the summertime. So these sailings in the summer, we would have a children's program. It starts at age 7 to 15. However, if there are elements that you want to join in, you can do that. And it's not like a big ship program where you drop your kids off somewhere. We don't have babysitting or anything like that. It's more about the environment and the culture. We do it in conjunction with the Preservation Society on French Polynesia, and their main initiative is to preserve sea turtles. So, so yeah, I say bring a 3-year-old. Why not? I'm taking my 4-year-old. So, and then there may be some other children on the summer sailings, you know, probably not too many more that are as that little. And we do take children over 1. Okay, what about the weather? When's the best time to travel? So from about now until April, end of March, is the rainier season. It is 80 degrees year round and the water temperature is about 80 degrees year round. So it is a year round destination, but it can have a little more rain during this period. But to say that, you know, it typically isn't a washout. It's, you know, a passing shower. And in the Tuamotus, hardly, you know, it passes really quickly because they're so small. So it does happen, but it's typically a passing shower. So I think that's it. Anything else, Heidi, that I never got this question
No,
box
nothing
open?
that I can think of, but yeah, like I said, if anyone thinks of questions later, that's how I usually am. As you know, at midnight, I'll be like, oh wait, I should have asked this, but feel free to reach out.
Also,
Shannon's super, you know, I can call her anytime and whatnot. So
great, thank you. And if I didn't get to a question here, Heidi will answer you later. But thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. It was fun, and I'm always excited to talk about French Polynesia and get more people to visit there and get as many people as possible to visit there. So thank you, Heidi, for putting this together.
I was excited about the amount of travelers, because it is true. It's very, you didn't feel like there was, I mean, you really didn't see us, you know, it was like a couple other people from Mars, you know, would come over to the islands. There's a lot of locals that you would run into, which I love. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for everyone. And yeah, this is a nice little escape in this dreary night here.
Yes.
It's getting cold. So
all right. Thanks. Take care, everyone. Happy holidays.